Alright, guys. I'm finally doing my next Miitopia episode. I was gonna do it on Thanksgiving, but I don't know. I just got caught up with other things. It kind of got away from me. I didn't really feel like doing it. But now we're finally going to. I'll probably just go over what happened this past week again, and I'll. And yeah, I'll just probably, and then we'll probably have some more casual discussions about, not like, the entirety of next. Well, I'll probably do another episode, at least one more episode before 2025 is over. But I'll probably still talk a little bit about the beginning of next year in this if I still have time. Quiz biatch. Please fuck off. Please fuck off. Alright, hold on. We have an exclamation point. I know we saved Wanda last episode. Oh, we still have to save all these guys now. Alright. Poor unfortunate souls in pain and need. Are you with me? Yes, I am. Alright. But yeah. Thanksgiving week was pretty good. Had some not on Thanksgiving, thankfully. There was some hiccups, but there was a lot of good too. Alright. But yeah. Nothing really to report on Monday. Monday was pretty forgettable. We were gonna get my dad was gonna make my social security appointment on Monday, but we decided to, do it the day after on Tuesday because, even though he was off from work, my dad, he still had to work from home a bit. So he got caught up in that. Of course not. horsey time. Okay. But yeah, we got. I know we. I know you watched my Pizzeria Deluxe video. I mean, I know you were like you watched it later on, but yeah, I'll go ahead and talk about the stuff again because Miitopia is just a better game to do so. It's hard for me to really do so, in the Papa Louie games. So I'll talk about it here. Now, all right. Oh my god. I'll just fuck it. Okay, good. I'm about to be like, you better not spare the biatch. But yeah, Tuesday was nice because we finally got the appointment set up. Alright. Ooh, nice. We got it set up for January 20th, and I was a bit worried. Because my dad told me that sometimes, like, when you get put on hold, you can get disconnected. But luckily, that did not happen. We got a date for the appointment. And it's January 20th. I was hoping it wouldn't be that, far into the future. I was hoping it would only be, a week or two. Like, sometime in, like, the first half of December. But at the same time, I'm just relieved that we got an appointment set up at all, because I would have felt very hopeless and frustrated. If we didn't get that appointment set up. Because we were supposed to do it for months. My dad was actually going to take me down there. Like, I think he took like a week off of work in like September. He was gonna, like, I don't know, maybe like August or September. Either that or he just took that Friday off. Because I think we had like a carpet coming in. Plus, they do not, we have to get an appointment set up when we're getting Social Security paperwork stuff situated, so. Yeah, it wouldn't have worked out anyway. But yeah, we like I said, we finally have a date a bit further into the future than I anticipated, but at the same time, it's better than nothing. And I look at it this way, like, it's in January. I consider January to be my least favorite month of the year. You know, because January, like, don't get me wrong, I do like sorry. I do like the, the dark, not darker, but, longer nights, the longer periods of darkness. And, I like it when it gets dark. And stuff. I do like that. And it's nice, having, January between two of my favorite months of the year, being December and February. You know, those are two good, advantages about January. And, this one falls under the, you know, the point I made about it being between two of my favorite months. But I also like January. I don't like. Not like it in general, but I like how it's a month. The month before the month of Valentine's Day, and there's not really much else to look forward to. After the New Year's countdown that I do. Between then and Valentine's Day. So, I usually only have February to look forward to next. Or Valentine's Day, yeah. Not necessarily, February in general, but, Valentine's Day. But luckily this year I actually have something going on for me in January, and that's getting my Social Security appointment. It won't be like, it's not like gonna be like, what's the word? Exciting, but it's gonna be nice to make some progress with this whole thing. Because don't get I'm happy I finally got my ID in July. That's a big deal, and a load off of my shoulders and my dad's. But at the same time, things have just felt kind of stagnant again since then. It feels like we haven't been making that much progress. So, it's nice to finally have that set up. So, I am looking forward to January 20th, at least. So yeah, that was a good highlight for, this past Tuesday. Oh my god. And then I believe my brother also got us Dairy Queen that day. So yeah, Tuesday was really good. Then Wednesday was very bittersweet because I believe Wednesday was November 26th. Yeah, because two days Sunday and 2 days the 30th. And then, Thursday was the 27th, so yeah. when Wednesday was the 20, you know, Wednesday was the 26th, and it was the anniversary of Stephen Hillenburg's passing. So yeah, it was a very bittersweet. Oh, seriously, I was getting his claws sharpened. Oh my god. Do cats have like really weak defense or something, or was he already low on I don't know, HP? Defense. Okay, we're at least we're almost there. He has less than half of his health, or they have less than half of their health. But yeah, I was gonna post something on Wattpad for, in honor of like Stephen Hillenburg, like I did last year, but I decided against it because I got started on it, but I never finished it because I was like in a rush. Sometimes when I try to take on tasks that have deadlines, I end up feeling kind of stressed because I have like a time limit to get it done, so that drained my motivation. So yeah, I didn't get it done this year. Maybe next year I'll try again, but this year, the deadline just didn't work out in my favor. Because like I said, I felt rushed, and sometimes when you feel rushed, it drains your motivation, so yeah. I'll try again next year because I really enjoy doing those little bittersweet annual stories and posting them. It just didn't work out this year. So yeah, matter of fact, I honestly don't feel very motivated to continue my current stories right now. I may actually have more new stuff planned. I probably won't post it in the next few days, it might be a little longer than that, but yeah. I'll probably I don't know if I'll discontinue my current stuff, but I probably won't be working on them for the foreseeable future. So yeah, I'll probably I actually have two stuff that I want to I want to start. One of them is more on the shit posty side, it won't involve any self inserts or self ships, but it's just something silly. But it's gonna be a revamp of an old fan fiction I did, or like that I like started back in like 2016, 2017. You know, it was a project I took on before I even met you guys. Out of you guys, I believe I've known Purple Ethan the longest. I've known Ashton since May 2018. Eli since May 2024. You since November 2020. And Purple Ethan since, I believe, November 2017. And, you know, that was before I even met him, so... Yeah, I remember, I think it was in 2016, like, it might have even been right, you know, I mean, not 20, did I say 2017? 2016. Because it may have been in, like, you know, May or June of 2016 when I wrote the original story. I never finished it, but yeah, and like I was either finishing up high school or I was like fresh out of high school. But yeah, I want to do a revamp of that project because I miss it. So yeah, you know, I mentioned that I believe like a month or two ago, but you know, that's something I'm still considering. And another Harvest Moon based project. I don't want to say much about it right now because, you know, I haven't really planned it thoroughly, but yeah, it's another Harvest Moon based project to take on. Except I'm not gonna be a farmer this time, because usually when you play the Harvest Moon games, you play a protagonist that's a farmer, but I want this one to be, you know, more accurate to my real life self. But it's gonna be mainly based on Harvest Moon: A New Beginning. I don't know when I'm gonna do a Let's Play on that game. Right now, I'm kind of just enjoying playing that game on my own. And I don't wanna, and I'm worried I'll mess up my file, because I have accidentally overwrote it before, so. But pretty soon, not, you know, right around the corner soon, but, you know, maybe in a few weeks or so, I'll probably you know, release an episode on that, because I want you to get a feel of the game before I, you know, start a story based around it. But yeah, God, you know, tangent over for, you know, Wednesday and, you know, stories and all that. I'll get back into that discussion. But now, I want to talk about, now, Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving went really... Oh, well, actually, another thing about Wednesday is, you know, we finally got the screen. Wait, we got, I don't, did we also, I don't know if that was Tuesday or Wednesday, but one of those, yeah, I think it was Wednesday. We finally got the screens put in, or my dad had workers to do that. And then on Thanksgiving, you know, he hooked up the TV, I believe. But yeah, Thanksgiving went really smoothly. Thankfully, I wasn't forced to pray. Thankfully, I didn't even have to be in the kitchen for that. But I had ham stuffing and rolls. Especially the ham and the rolls, you know. I like stuffing too, but I prefer the classic stovetop stuffing. Over the cornbread stuffing that my grandmother brings. We almost did the stovetop stuffing last year, but my grandparents decided against it. But yeah, so I mostly ate the ham and the rolls, and they go really good together. I actually ate in the backyard patio area, because like I said, we got the screen put in, and you know, we got the TV, or my dad and my brother got the TV set up. So it's like it's kind of like an outdoor indoor, kind of like a mix of an outdoor indoor room. I ate in there. Then my brother comes in and jacks with me for eating rolls for some reason. No shit, rolls are freaking delicious. But yeah, it's lighthearted. I wasn't mad, I just thought it was silly. But yeah, we don't really do, you know, our family gatherings are not usually very, you know, complex or long lasting. They only came for about an hour and a half, and you know, they were already out the door by like 12:30. When we go over to my grandmother's house for Christmas, it feels like we're there like for like, you know, 2 to 3 hours. But yeah, like I said, Thanksgiving went by smoothly, so I'm happy about that. Friday, like I said, was a bit rocky. Now, Friday was a bit rocky. I don't want to say this out loud because I don't want my brother to hear me, but one of the reasons is because he said he may plan to bring his obnoxious friends over sometime next year. I don't know when, but you know, it's for a bunch of sports stuff, and I don't want to get into it, but in this video, because I don't want my brother to hear me, but yeah. I'm worried about that. And then, you know, for some reason, my dad got really mad at me for wanting my brother to get DoorDash, because we usually do that on Fridays, but he gets annoyed with me for bringing it up on, on like Fridays, or like the Fridays on weeks he's off. And then he's pretty chill about it, like, during like a normal work week, but for some reason when he's home, yeah, he gets angry at me and it turns into like a lecture. But luckily my brother did end up ordering Sonic, and I think my dad ended up getting something too, so it's not like my dad can stay mad at me when he ended up actually wanting and getting something. But yeah, Friday was just kind of a strain on my brain. That rhymed. Yeah, unfortunately, one thing I am slightly disappointed in, that didn't end up happening back on Thanksgiving, though, is my dad was gonna talk to my grandmother about a date to take me to because I have to go to the Social Security office 2 separate times. One of them is to get my card, and one of them is to pick up the paperwork. And he was gonna talk to her about a day, and and find out a day for her to, come and get me, because, that has to be like a walk-in. That won't be an appointment, and it could take like, a couple of hours for me to get to that point. Or, for us to get, for them to fit us in and get my card. That's the phrase I was looking for. I mean, I'm not too worried about it because, we still have, Christmas Eve and Christmas Day for my dad to talk to her, and I think, like, going back to January, I think January is probably going to be the the best bet. As long as I can get it before the 20th, that would be awesome. Because I have to go back anyway on the 20th for my social to get my paperwork, so I don't really mind waiting, until, that time is like near, you know what I mean? Yeah, I don't want to have to wait until like, well after the 20th. I mean, if I have to wait like a little bit after, that's fine, but a couple of months after, yeah, that would make my patience plummet to an all-time zero. If anything, I think it's better I think January would be a better time to get, for my grandmother to take me up there to get my card. Because, like I said, we could My dad told me that it could like take a couple of hours, or even a few hours. So my dad wants, them to wait until like there's a day where they don't have anything going on. We can just kind of sit there together and wait to get my card. But, December is usually a very busy month because they probably have like Christmas stuff going on, especially because they're Christians, so they probably have like a lot of like church stuff going on at that time. Whereas January, January is just a boring, depressing, uneventful month, New Year's Day is, nice because, it's the first day of the new year, and then, New Year's Eve is pretty fun. I've actually grown to really like New Year's Eve since I started doing those annual countdown live streams, but other than that, like I said earlier, January is just kind of a crappy month, to be honest with you guys. I don't know, there's just something about it. A lot of the times I'm anxious during January, I'm on edge. It gets too cold. There's nothing much going on in January. So yeah, that would actually probably be the better month for her to take me over there to get my card. December at least there's like shit going on, so I don't mind waiting until, January. And, it's, from what I understand, January is actually documented to be the most widely hated month. According to polls, like, there's polls like that have asked what's your favorite month and what's your least favorite month, and January usually has the most votes in, like, the least favorite. I don't know about you, Green Ethan, your least favorite month, and I don't know about Eli. I don't know what your least favorite months are. But me and Ashton, we both share the same opinion on January being one of our least favorite months of the year. And, Purple Ethan, he also has January as one of his least favorite months, along with March. I don't know what his reason is for March, but, January, yeah, we can all understand why. Plus, he had a really crappy January back in 2013. He got into a massive argument with, I don't want to mention any names, but let's just say he got into a massive argument with someone in the Flipline fandom. So, January 2023 was like the worst January for him. And I don't know, a lot of the times, shitty stuff just happens to me on January. I mean, deep down, I know it's coincidental, but still, it makes you think. It puts you on edge. You know what I mean? Even if it's like coincidental, you're at the same time you're kind of weary because sometimes things do seem like they have a connection, even if it like continues every year or every like January specifically. Now, usually my second, well, not usually, but like generally, I would consider April my second most hated month. But I mean, I don't hate it, but you know what I mean. Second least favorite month, but I actually had a really good April this year. April is probably actually a highlight month for me this year. You know, I'll do a review video on, the 1st of January. That's another tradition that I've gotten into. I like to do a review on the, preceding year. So I'll definitely do a review on, 2025 on New Year's Day. And unsurprisingly, I would probably consider January my least favorite month this year. It wasn't particularly shitty, but I just felt kind of blah. And I was like, very anxious about stuff. It wasn't as bad as 2017 and 2021, but, just because, January 2017 and 2021 are probably my least favorite Januaries I've had so far. The years in general were really good in my opinion, but, specifically the Januaries, yeah, they were pretty blah. How even Ashton said that his January 2017, he told me that his fucking sucked. So did mine. Nothing particularly bad happened. Well, there were some shitty stuff happened, but it was mostly just me being, I don't know, but I guess I just have really bad anxiety and rumination during January. I don't know, but it just got really bad that particular January. I mean, it did get better. I believe it was January 21st is when I finally felt better and, my mind started to calm down, but for the most part, yeah, it was pretty bad. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe some people are just like this. Sometimes people have worse anxiety or worse depression during certain months. I know, it's actually, there's actually something, similar to that. That's a thing called, seasonal affective disorder, where, people feel they feel fine during the summer. months, like the warmer months, like when, like, and there's like more like sunshine and stuff. But, they have like, depression spells during like, like the winter months, like December, January, and then maybe, February. I don't think that's the case for me because, I don't have depression. I don't know. I think it's more of an ADHD. Like, I've been, like I said, but many times I've been suspecting that I have ADHD, and then people with ADHD, we tend to, or they tend to ruminate on things and stuff. They tend to overthink, get anxious about stuff, have these racing thoughts. So I think it's more of a possible ADHD thing for me, and not seasonal affective disorder. I guess, I guess January is just not my month because I don't know. It's not even something I can explain really, but ooh, nice. Wait. Oh, you don't have enough MP. Fine, we'll just do basic attack. What's going on? I keep hearing weird noises. Oh my god. But yeah, like always, I'm definitely gonna be a bit weary about January. However, I did this last year, and I'm gonna do the same thing. I mean, not last year, this year. This past January, and I'm gonna do the same thing. Next year when in today's the last day in November, so let's just say a month from now, because and the day is gonna end for me pretty soon at that. So as of recording this, so let's just say like in a month when January comes again, I'm gonna get started. I'm gonna try to keep myself busy. Like this past January 2025. Ooh, all right. Now, I'll probably make this episode a bit shorter than I usually do. because I'm kind of running out of stuff to talk about here. And, you know, I don't want to make it too long. Sometimes I like a shorter in my recordings to be on a bit on the shorter side. But we'll keep this going for a little bit longer. I think we still have one more, or I don't know, maybe two more. I don't know. One or two more boss battles for this segment. But yeah, I believe I did, I know I did a video where I talk about, I believe I did a video where I talked about how I feel about each month of the year. I might actually do like a ranking video, like maybe like worst to best. That'll be interesting. I might actually, yeah, that actually sounds like a good idea for a video. I don't do too many, you know, talk to the camera videos anymore. Because, you know, I want to do them, I just don't get around to them, so. But that actually sounds like a good idea for a video. But what I did this past January and plan to do, you know, this upcoming January, is start my Valentine's Day projects. Valentine's Day isn't until February 14th, but I want to make a lot of stuff for Valentine's Day. And, you know, the earlier I start, the more time I have to get it done. And, you know, also the earlier I start, the more occupied I'll be for January. It'll help me get through the month. Like I said, I am looking forward to the 20th. But other than that, you know, I have my guard kept up for January. In fact, that might be the month where my brother was bringing his annoying ass friends over here. Like I said, I don't want him to hear me, but that's why I'm just whispering into the microphone, but yeah. Alright, high tea. Oh, yep, I was right. Here we go. I don't know if there's another one after this. But we'll probably just do this one and for now, and I'll figure it out. I'll probably do the next episode at the end of December, because I like to make these a monthly thing. That seems like a good frequency rate. Or heck, I might wait a little bit longer and do it at the beginning of January. Because nothing much, I don't think there's gonna be anything much else to talk about, yet, because, like I said, my Social Security appointment isn't until January 20th, and I still don't know when my grandmother is going to take me to get my card, so, yeah. I'll probably, hopefully, he talks to her during Christmas, or Eve, or Christmas Day, and then we'll figure out a day in January for her to take me, and, I'll probably do a video after that. I don't know if I'm going to wait until the 20th, but I want to at least get some intel on when I'm going to be getting my card. Now, as for my favorite months of the year, my favorite months are June, February, June, November, and December. And then, I also really like October. It's nice because even though daylight savings time doesn't end yet, I can tell the nights are already getting shorter, and then it gets nice and cool outside. We don't really do much for Halloween, but my dad does buy candy, so there is that. All right. Alright, there's a weird noise going on. I want to check out what that is. But yeah, for now I'm going to end this off. I will talk to you guys later. Goodbye.